Welcome back to Dan91's Garage. So last week we finished off with the oil and water systems in the turbo and a few other bits and pieces. So we're ready for the first start this week. I've already put the oil into and out of the turbo, basically disconnected the crank sensor, spun the engine over for about 5 seconds till the oil pressure got up, made sure it came out of the oil feed into a bucket, tightened that back on the turbo, span it over again for another 5 or 10 seconds and checked the oil drain by disconnecting it from the sump, and the oil was flowing out of that. So I've connected all that back up so we know the turbo's been oiled thoroughly through. So while this was going on, I didn't realise that it would actually be spinning the fuel pump, but it was. And I double checked, obviously, the injectors, because we replaced the injectors and messed about with the fuel pulsation dampener. And there's no leaks from that either. So everything's been checked and is now safe and ready for our first start. So what we're going to do is open up the garage, obviously, to let the smoke out. Reverse the car backwards so the exhaust's actually outside. Grab this fire extinguisher so if anything does happen, that's ready on hand. There's no like safety stuff on it, just this little sort of like plastic cap to hold it in, so you can just whip that out and give it a go. I'm going to open that door as well, obviously. Got to know your exits, so God forbid anything should happen. If there's something goes wrong at the front, at least I can run out the back, and if something goes wrong at the back, I can run out that door as well. So that's all good, but I'm sure it's going to be fine. So yeah, let's get this show on the road and start this thing up. Well, here goes nothing. Like the wideband warm up as well. It's got the old testing out the wiring on that, because this is the first time I've cranked it over. So now it does have the bigger injectors in it that it's not going to be used to, so it might be a bit of a bitch to start, but we'll see what happens when we twist the key. So okie doke, cross your fingers. Now it's running, and no warning lights on the dash, apart from those ones that are quite normal. Heater to fire up, see what we get. Flat 10s. Turbo spooling, took that out. Awesome. Yep, AFRs are starting to improve as well. Obviously it's still during its open loop warm-up cycle, so when that gets down to 14.5 and starts sort of oscillating between 14.5 and 15, we'll know it's gone back into closed loop, but it's still too cold for that. So, oh yeah, boost gauge works. Got a bit of vacuum going on. Wicked. Well, no oil leaks from the turbo. Anything leaking underneath? Oh, bit of something. That's water from somewhere. Figure that out. Weird. Well, it all seems to be behaving itself, so awesome stuff. Well, we'll call that a success then. I'm going to let this warm up, keep my eye on it, make sure nothing changes. Figure out where that water's coming from. It's not oil or anything, so no idea where that was, but yeah, we'll have a look underneath it. It seems good to me, so yeah, nice one. See you in a sec. So after letting the engine cool overnight, it was time to investigate where this water leak was coming from the turbo. So fired up the engine, and fairly soon water started dripping out. Decided to give the area a thorough fingering and learned absolutely nothing apart from the fact that my hand was getting very hot very quickly, so I decided to quit while I was ahead rather than burning myself on a hot turbo and exhaust. So yeah, looking back at the footage, you can see the drip starts coming out through where the wastegate shaft goes through the guide bush into the turbine housing. So obviously my turbo's kind of upside down, and any water that collects in there from condensation from the engine running through the manifold then is going to end up in that area and get pushed out through the gap between the shaft and its guide bush. So there's not much I can really do about it, so I think we're just going to leave it there and call it done. At least it wasn't my welding on the downpipe, so gotta be happy with that. So yeah, carry on. Okie dokie, so this thing obviously needs an air filter. Now, I don't want to put one directly on it because there isn't much room, and obviously it's going to be right next to the hot manifold, and if I just sort of come straight down here or something, you're going to end up sucking hot air out from behind the radiator all the time, even when you're moving. So last thing I want to do is put it sort of straight off the turbo. So this area here is traditionally where everyone goes. Obviously, believe it or not, this is how it is. There's nothing been removed. It's nice and empty. So all the cold air is going to come rushing in, hopefully around the side of the radiator, and find its way into this bit here. So yeah, got myself a 45 and a 90 and a K&N 2430. I'll get that out in a minute and show you the sizes and everything. So I think what I'm going to do, in fact what I may have already done, which is why this 45 is already cut down, but let's pretend that's not there, is I'm going to go underneath this pipe. The idea is you either go over it down to here or underneath it, or you can replace this pipe, but then, you know, not only have I got to buy air filter stuff, I've also got to buy another pipe that somehow comes down here and round here. And this is a sort of formed and shaped pipe already, and I don't really fancy f***ing around with that if I don't have to. So we're going to chuck the air filter on in 3, 2, 1. So there we go. So it's 3 inches out of the turbo, and that's a 45, which I've cut down both ends. 3-inch piece of curved pipe. That's actually from Ram Air. Quite a lot of the pipes you'll see have a lot of straight and then a really tight bend, and then another sort of long section of straight, but it's really quite restrictive. Whereas this one, it's a 90 degree, but it only has maybe sort of 30 or 40 mil of straight each end and a nice big smooth sort of large radius to it. So I figured that was going to be a smoother sort of entry. And then the K&N 2430, so that's 5-inch diameter, and it's 5 inches overall, but the actual surface is probably maybe 4.5 inches, so 125 mil, and then 112 and a 0.73265 for the actual thing. So yeah, all good fun. Simple Jubilee clips. So yeah, that's all sorted. There's clearance everywhere. It's just sort of touching this pipe here, but yeah, there's clearance underneath it and everything. And the other thing to remember is down here you've also got the power steering cooler lines, these hoses here, and originally they have these sort of metal sprung clamps on them, and they're really sharp on the top. So I didn't want my filter bouncing on top of those really sharp sort of metal edges, so what I did was replace them with some normal worm drive clamps, just some normal hose clamps, and obviously put the screws down the bottom so they're nice and flat on top, so if this does flap about and hit anything, it's not going to be smacking against sort of like sharp metal edges that were there. So these are just the little things you got to think about when you're doing stuff, because the last thing you want is it sort of eroding its way through the filter and all that shit getting sucked into your turbo. So yeah, that's pretty cool. It's a bit sort of goofy looking, but at the end of the day, I'm working around the pipes rather than rerouting all the pipes. So yeah, happy with that. And it's nice to finally have, it's like one of the finishing touches, you know, once you've done your first start and everything, you know, the engine runs, you can now start putting on the stuff that sort of supports those systems kind of thing. So yeah, nice to have that on. So next up we've got transmission oil cooler. Obviously more power is going to mean more of a hard time for the gearbox. So yeah, got to figure out which is the feed and return line. So down here, you obviously got the 2 pipes that go into the radiator. These 2 right at the bottom down there. One of them feeds in, then comes back out and goes back to the gearbox. So I'm not sure which one it is. So now we can start the car. What we can do is pop one of the lines off and stick one end in a bucket sort of thing. Start the car and see what sprays out. And if it comes out of whichever hose, we'll know which one is feed and return. So then we can mount the trans cooler somewhere in the front here. Okay then, so we found the feed. I basically took off the right hand hose as you're looking at it, so left hand hose on the car, and chucked it in a bucket. The other one's just there to catch whatever's dripping out of the actual cooler itself. Started the engine, and as we can see, has pumped out a whole bunch of rather grotty looking gearbox oil fluid. So that's not great, but at least we know now that that is the feed because it came out of this pipe into this bucket. So we can connect that back up, because now we know that the hose is the return. The little one on the left here, or the right, if you're sitting in the car, this one is definitely the return. So we need to put the oil cooler into the return of it, because we're going to keep it in series. So got a Mishimoto tube and fin kit, and this is the 3/8 barb version, just the push on hose ones. So the hoses on the car, the pipes are about 10 mil, so they are a bit bigger than that. So it's going to be a bit of a squeeze getting the pipes on, but we need somewhere to locate the cooler. So generally speaking, it's going to go in the front area. Don't really fancy putting it off to the side, so we're going to chuck it here in front of the radiator, above the power steering cooler and behind the intercooler. So I think this particular setup's going to have more radiators in my house by the time we're done, so that's going to be cool. But yeah, I want to get it in here really. Let's not forget this entire thing used to have an air conditioning condenser in front of it, so just covering off a little bit here will still be sort of like 50% less covered than when it had aircon. So we're still going to be increasing the airflow for when we put more thermal load on the engine by turbocharging it, and therefore increasing the power. So inside the kit, we've got the usual little cable tie, zip tie things that you're supposed to just jam through the radiator to clamp it on. But so yeah, here's the hose for it and the little Jubilee clips. So it's a pretty decent, pretty comprehensive kit. And there's the cooler itself. I have already been in this, which is why it's already got the ends taped up so we don't get any schmutz up it. So yeah, there you go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pass, I guess, maybe. And the size of the core ish, yeah, it's like 33 or sort of 12.5 inches, 19 or 7.5 inches by, I think it's about 15 or 20 thick. 20, there you go, 20 thick. So that's the size of the core, and they're 3/8 push on barbs, like I say, which is 9.5 mil. So yeah, the only real worry is, has the auto gearbox pump got enough power to pump it through this as well? That's a bit of a worry, but no one ever says that that's been a problem. And of course, the manufacturers of all of these products never say or mention any of that really anyway. They just say, put it in line. It's basically just like a wiggly hose. So we're just going to put it in line. Well, here's where we are. So transcooler with some Gates hose on it. The hose that came with it looked fairly ordinary, and I didn't really fancy risking it on something as important as this. So I bought some Gates transmission cooler hose. It's like 30 quid for 0.9 of a metre or 3 foot, and it's obviously 9.5 mil diameter. So yeah, 30 quid including delivery. 2 days that took to get it from America. Anyway, yeah, so we're on a bit of a pause at the moment because I've used up all of the £30 hose for that one run. I do need another. This is clearly not long enough. I think I need basically double that, which kind of sucks. But what we've done is I've marked out the front positions. So these 4 marks on the radiator are where I'm going to put the cable ties through. So what I did was figure out the whole pattern on the actual cooler itself, mark it on the front here to give it good sort of airflow, and also be as sort of as far that way as possible to get the pipes short run down through this hole. The other problem is as well, I'm too lazy to take the fan pack off the back, so I've had to sort of centralise it really, because that's the only gaps on the back where I can push the cable tie fittings through. So what I did was I got a little knitting needle, poked that through the front, so that obviously made a little tunnel through so I knew where to go. And then when that was through the front, I then fed the little cable tie thing down into the hole that I'd made, and then I've pulled them through so they're just about level. So they're sitting there waiting to come out once I put the foam pads on there to protect it. So normally I'd make myself up some brackets and stuff, but there would be some real wacky brackets to try and attach to anything solid on the front there. I certainly wouldn't use this sort of fitting to attach a fan to a radiator. I've seen people do that before, and that's just crazy, because when that thing kicks in, it's really going to sort of wobble about and shred all of the fins in the radiator itself. But as far as a transcooler that doesn't really move, it's literally just going to be strapped on there and held, so I'm not worried about that this time. So save myself a day's worth of effort making some epoxy brackets, and just cable tie the thing on. So again, by the power of editing, I think that's my hose turning up that I haven't ordered yet. But here we go, 3, 2, 1, time for some new hose. Okay, so that's the transcooler mounted. Pushed these through a little bit and stuck the foam pads on them, then held the cooler up against it and pushed them through, so they all came through in sort of nice places basically. And it's actually pretty sort of even because I measured everything up beforehand. We've got the hose flowing, obviously the VAR hose over there. The VAR hose goes out, and that's the feed to the original cooler in the radiator, which then comes out of the hose down here, which you can barely see, round the corner, down through there, and then comes up through the little gap down there by the radiator, and that goes into the bottom of the cooler, because obviously when that goes in, it then pushes all of the air through up to the top, and then out the top of it with the cooler fluid back down through the same hole in between the rad and the support, and then we go back in to the original return line to the gearbox, which is this one here on the right hand side, if you're looking at it this way up. So that's all sorted now. So already tested it out, no leaks, and it gets nice and warm, so it's all on there. But the good thing is about it being nice and close to this is when the fans go off, it's going to suck cold air through that as well. So yeah, all good fun. And that's pretty much it for the transcooler. So yeah, finish off the intercooler next, I guess.